story. So this is probably one of my favorite stories. So my grandpa took myself and a few of my brothers to a restaurant, as we typically do. And we ordered our food, and we got all of our food at our table. And before we started eating, my grandpa said, "Everyone stop. Before you eat the food, I want to tell you, I will give one of you $5 for whoever finishes your plate last." The story really speaks to me, mainly because it can be taken literally, but also figuratively. So literally, it's a healthy thing to do, to not eat your food like super fast and take it in slowly. But it can also be applied to all walks of life. Take it slowly. My grandpa lived to 100 years old, and I feel like that whole idea is why he lived that long. But through the later parts of my grandfather's life, he made a list of something that he called ravers. Now I'm going to read out the definition of what a raver is. A raver is a short and pithy saying by Raymond stating a general truth or piece of advice. So these are all like little kind of sayings that he came up with or found and kind of combined into one book here. 100 Ravers. We gave these out for his 100th birthday party. Now one of these ravers actually I feel applies quite a bit to this party, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's number 15. Cocktail parties are places where you make promises until the next cocktail party.
The most meaningful way to honor someone you care about when attending a funeral or memorial is to carry forward something from their life. Wisdom, kindness, strength, and let it shape you into a better person. That is how their legacy lives on. That is how they are remembered. My grandfather has done wonderful things in his life. By the sheer amount of people in this room, that says enough alone. And honestly, more than what I am saying right now. But the way for his life to live on is by taking something from him and making it a part of you. And making sure that you live that part the way he did himself. The final thing I will leave you is something he told me many months before his passing. I was getting ready to leave Grosse Pointe, my home. I've lived here for over 22 years, and I was about to leave for the first time and make another place my home. He said, "The decision to do something tomorrow is made today." And that is how I will remember my grandfather. Thank you.
And we talked a lot about his upcoming and his upbringing, and unbeknownst to me, I lived across the street from him a long time in my life, even before I met Vince, which is kind of crazy. And I remember he was telling me about all of his, he had a business and he was running and he was doing code forging and things like that. And we talked about that for a short time, but it felt so long because everything he said was very meaningful, and it showed he was a hardworking man and things of that nature. And so we were sitting down and we were talking for, it was a bit. We had a lot to talk about. He treated me like I was a superstar, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then he was like, yeah, we should take pictures. And I was like, wow, this hard-working man want to take pictures with me. And he was the real superstar. So I was like, wow. And at the time, I think he was 99 though. It was before his 100th birthday. It was a year ago. And we took 40 pictures doing the same exact pose. And he looked at those pictures and he said, wow, thank you. I am so glad you took these pictures with me. And we took them over and over and over. And every time he took a picture, he just got happier and happier. And he just was like, yeah, I gotta keep these. I have to keep these. And so I have about 25 of those pictures in my phone currently. And yeah, he was just a very great person. He was a very nice man, We talked once or twice, but I felt like those were some of the most meaningful conversations I ever had.
But who was the person like who really I wouldn't have gone to college or even been like so excited about school? And I realized it was my grandpa. So in November after his birthday, it took me so many months to come here, but I gave it to him and I said, you know, like this is the thing at my school because without you I wouldn't have gone to college. I don't think I probably wouldn't have even wanted to go even pursue higher education. And I was like, this is for you, Grandpa. And it meant a lot to him because he had told me that he had never gone to college.
And so since his 100th birthday and his passing, I've just been reflecting quite a bit on his character and who, like the aspects that made Raymond Raymond. I love the description today in the service about him being a Renaissance man, right? There's so many different facets to this gentleman, between all of his various interests and his hobbies, his passions. So I've just been thinking quite a bit about the different characteristics and his values and his character. And I love what my cousin Vincent said earlier. Vincent, wherever you are, I loved what you said about just how the best way that we can honor somebody is to live out the values and the characters that person demonstrated. I love that. So I want to talk a little bit about Raymond's optimism in life and this central belief that he had that he could just do it, whatever it was. He just had this belief that anything was possible. I mean, somebody spoke, I believe it was Mentor Sal, somebody spoke about his very humble upbringing. I mean, being born into a family of parents who barely spoke any English. And then, why not? I can do it. I can go for it. And then, into skiing into his 90s, playing tennis into his 90s. He never limited himself. He always believed that he could do it, that it was possible, and if he ran into a speed bump or an obstacle, he would just figure it out. He would try to do whatever was necessary to work around the problem or work through the problem. So that just general sense of optimism in life and in this world where I think that we're very frequently told we can't. I want to take that forward from Raymond, that attitude that I can. And if right now I can't, then I will. So that's just what I wanted to share. That was on my heart. Thank you.
I am Raymond's son. This piece is entitled, How Grandpa Rode His Raleigh. Dad had an intriguing black rally bike with a metal child seat mounted above the rear fender. I don't know if my sisters enjoyed this conveyance. Perhaps the rally child seat was reserved for boys. Yikes. Dad would mount his steed, and after I was positioned in the rear on that seat, Grandpa would move. And I mean move. He would corner, he would radiate, he knew exactly what he was doing. And I would be slumped over as he would take these corners of each and every turn. I was truly wondering if this was all going to plan. Oh yes, it was to plan. And it was exactly his plan. Years later, did I really go and ride that thing as fast as I thought he did when I was just a little boy? My point is simple. Fine leadership instills trust. Did I ever fly off his rally? Helmetless head clanking into the curb? Absolutely never. Because Dad knew exactly what he was doing. And that is how I will always remember my father. A man who always knew exactly what he was doing.
Perhaps. But, you know, the only person that could actually stand up to his stubbornness was my beautiful grandmother, Jane. And so, while we're focusing on my grandfather's life and all the success he's had, to me, honestly, the takeaways from him that I most cherish is the way that he loved my grandmother. To me, the biggest success is that not only he was able to win her hand so she didn't have to go to Saudi Arabia, that's a story she'll tell you later, but he kept her and he loved her and he cared for her for 66 years. And even in his latest years, when I would visit them, he would wake up in the mornings early and bring her breakfast and check on her. And every night he would sit in the bed with her and speak and talk about what she read in the paper earlier that day. So behind every great man is a woman, and I just wanted to spend a moment having a hand for my grandfather's woman, Jane.
Can you hear me? All right. We are so grateful for all of you who are in attendance today. Extremely, ongoing grateful, and thank all of you. And I'm sorry I missed so many of our dear friends and family that were here today. I'm going to tell you just a very brief little story. It's regarding Raymond. We get 3 newspapers every day. Detroit Free Press, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. And Raymond had the love of wisdom. He had no time to read 3 papers a day, and I would share with him the news that I think he would enjoy. And then I would outline in the newspaper, outline it for Raymond to read. So it was a love of wisdom, which was the spirit of his life. And it's also the spirit of my life to use up my time and read those. And it takes time to read a newspaper. You can't just read it. Sometimes I just read the headlines on it, but we are so grateful for all of you here. Your presence, each one of you who are here, your presence is a present to all our family. I hope you connect on this. Your presence today, your presence, you being here, you, each and every one of you, are a present to all the Crackiolos, and we humbly thank you